I'm so fresh, you can suck my nuts. I'm so fresh, you can suck my nuts. Swag. I'm so fresh, you can suck my nuts. I'm so fresh, you can suck my nuts.
Where does criticism end and harassment begin? Before I start this video, I just kind of want to make clear, I don't give a rat's ass about this content usually. YouTube drama is kind of like a thing I put in the back burners. I watch it happen from a few miles away and laugh when shit gets a little whack, but for the most part I leave my life out of it. My general opinion on things tends to remain the same. Unless I think I could add something particularly unique to a conversation, I don't speak up. I think commentary as a genre kind of gets flooded with a deluge of useless and uninspired content. With that out of the way, which would probably serve nicely to delegitimize the entire point of making this video, but I also want to talk about it, so it's my channel. Click off if you don't like it. If you don't pay attention to YouTube drama or anything like that, which I can't blame you if you don't, you know it's a pretty important conversation to have with anybody, the line between criticism and harassment. I'm not talking about harassment as in you criticize me, therefore you're harassing me. I'm talking about genuine harassment, to the point that somebody physically can't live their life. If you know anything about current happenings, by the time I've uploaded this video, you probably know who I'm about to talk about, or I don't know, maybe you looked at the fucking title. Eugenia Cooney is a creator who is no stranger to controversy. In fact, I'm pretty sure they could write the handbook on how to attract it. Her legacy on the platform, as early as you can go, can be defined by two things: the unfortunate state of her health, and people then using that state to tell her to get help. The videos I'd argue to be the progenitor of much of the anti-Eugenia content we see today comes from a creator known as Onision. If you've been on the internet for more than 5 seconds, you probably know who this fucker is. Onision's stated objective and reason for making these videos quite neatly parallels the ones given to us by T-channels as to why they're making their videos. These are videos made to help Eugenia, to point out her flaws, and to point out her problems so that she goes and seeks help as a result of them. However, in both cases, the amount of videos made on the subject and the reaches by which they went to justify the videos made it seem more like a targeted harassment campaign than anything like goodwill in an attempt to help somebody. All of this is to say, we've been down this rabbit hole before. The key difference is this time, the community that's targeting her is far larger and far more vocal and powerful than anything Onision could have ever commanded. Instead of just one dickweed spewing their awful opinions into a vacuum, it's a million dickweeds with their own awful opinions, all spewing their shit into the vacuum. I don't necessarily think it's bad for people to voice their opinions, nor do I think it's bad that people have the ability to. It becomes a problem and all those opinions are based on shaky information at best. This was best exemplified by Willie Mac Show, a creator fastly approaching 100,000 subscribers, whose criticism on the topic mainly focused on the admissibility of evidence within the community. In all honesty, it seemed as if wild speculation and hearsay is enough to make an argument. That wild speculation and hearsay is then used to support the idea that Eugenia Cooney should be deplatformed for promoting pro-Ana content. If you don't know what thinspo and pro-Ana means, consider yourself lucky, but generally it means pro-anorexic, as in thinspiration, the type of person you like to look like. What this type of community is basically glorifying anorexia and the type of body it's allowed to produce. Don't get me wrong, this type of content is genuinely horrifying. I have people in my life who have dealt with anorexia. It's nothing easy to kick, and it's oftentimes the darkest years of someone's life. That being said, the only evidence I've seen for her being pro-anorexic has to be that she is anorexic and online. Even Belle Aubrey's video on the subject, titled Eugenia Cooney's Toxic Impact on Her Fans, only had shaky evidence to prove her point. Quite literally, that evidence can be boiled down to, there are anorexic people in her community, and anorexic people that look up to her, therefore she is making people anorexic.
Moving on, we see another photo that says Eugenia shows me it's possible. This is probably one of the most disturbing things I have seen on this particular blog. It also uses hashtags like pro-Ana, thinspo, Eugenia Cooney, anorexia, hashtag I want to look like this. So clearly she's influencing people and pushing them deeper and deeper into an ED.
Isn't that fucking ridiculous? Her being on the internet is pushing people to be anorexic. Her mere presence takes food out of people's fucking stomachs. It's like they think she's a fucking dementor or something. To Belle Aubrey's credit, the thesis statement of her video is basically EDs are competitive, and seeing somebody else reach a goal you see as desirable will force you to then try to reach it through increasingly desperate means. The video describes it, and I have no reason to doubt it, as being a vicious cycle of expectations, actions, and then meeting new expectations. That being said, the conclusion she reaches at the end of the video is YouTube should take her videos down because they're putting kids at risk. She elaborates on this conclusion in her statements in her video explaining why she supports the Eugenia Cooney petition.
The point of this petition is to temporarily get her off of social media so that she can get help. This is not trying to make it so that people who are mentally ill can't operate on social media or cancel people who struggle with a mental illness. This is about wanting her to get help, wanting her to temporarily get off the platform so that she can get that help that she needs and that she deserves. And eventually she can return to the platform when she feels comfortable, when she feels ready, and when people in her life, like people who are professionals, medical professionals who are helping her through this, when they think that she is ready, then she can come back.
While you might look at that and say, that's reasonable, keep in mind there has been no solid evidence shown, minus a testimonial, that Eugenia Cooney is causing EDs on a widespread scale, enough that YouTube would need to take action. She puts all of these posts made on the petition in her video to bolster the argument that this needs to happen, and it comes from a place of communal goodwill. But I'd honestly say that stuff like this shouldn't be in your video. Unless you can independently corroborate it, it can't be admitted. A petition like this takes away someone's livelihood. It makes no sense to put hearsay in when you're trying to make an argument based off of fact. But all this is getting away from the reality that this petition tries to basically cut off Eugenia Cooney from her only source of income. They also make it a point in their videos to criticize her over-reliance on her parents. So let me get this straight. You want to take away her only ability to be independent, but you also want to criticize her for being a 27-year-old woman still living with her parents. Speaking of her parents, they've become fair game for the conspiracy theories as well. You see, it's been a popular narrative in T channels that she is using her position as an anorexic figure to appeal to anorexic fetishists. Their evidence of this ranges from panty shots, if you could even call them that, to her moving a box and getting Twitch donations. I'm not fucking around, this is literally their evidence.
Light somewhere else. I'm gonna put it right here so it's not awkwardly in the way. Oh guys, I gotta move this. Sorry, it's like awkwardly in the way. But thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that's insane. But oh guys, oh my gosh, I forgot to move like my makeup in. Should probably move this while I'm at it. Oh my gosh, what? I actually have shoes on today. Oh, and I have my makeup thing. I should probably move this. Sorry. Thanks for the bits. Oh my gosh, I forgot to move my makeup bag again. Give me a second. I'm sorry. I have this big makeup thing. Thank you for the bits. Guys, I forgot to move my makeup box again.
And on and on and on and on. You can find multiple examples of this. And I feel like at this point, with the content that she's currently coming out with, this needs to be an age-restricted channel. It is clear to me that the only thing that this channel is, she doesn't care anymore. She's literally just well, I'm not even going to try to hide it anymore. This is how do I say this without bleeping all these words?
Oh, God fucking damn it!
Eugenia Hub. We're just going to say that.
Willie Mack did a perfect job at debunking the panty shot argument. I'm not going to go into it here because I highly doubt I could do a better job of explaining it than he had. So I'm just going to say, watch his video if you want to know more about this particular part of it. Eugenia Cooney lore goes far deeper than any of us would have imagined. As I had said previously, her parents have now become part of the conspiracy. They are obviously prostituting their child to get clicks from anorexic fetishists on the website. No, I'm not fucking with you. But as Willie Mack's video went on to explain, most of this evidence had to come from a creator called Sloan, who promoted a tarot card reading. This is credible evidence because
the arcana is the means by which all is revealed.
Okay. It's not all the evidence. All right, there's other reasons why they think this is the case. In Shane Dawson's documentary, Eugenia Cooney was apparently unable to unlock her own door. According to Jacqueline Glenn, the mother attempted to stop her from bringing her to rehab. Other evidence to build this case comes in the form of very weird and out of context clips from her Twitch channel. The most infamous of these being a clip where she calls her parents to ask if she can come upstairs to grab her Switch. These clips have been incessantly used to paint the narrative of her parents as abusive or otherwise terrifying. There have even been theories that she's being paid to do these kind of content, to effectively do softcore pornography for the pro-Anna crowd, while her brain-dead parents sit there and pick their noses. But all of this ignores the fundamental building block of these arguments: feelings. There's no solid proof any of these events are happening, but because one T-channel made a video on it, the next will. Most of the evidence I have seen of the subject is either hearsay or blatant speculation on the part of the YouTuber. But I guess there doesn't need to be evidence to prove a case if the bar for admissibility is a mere feeling. You can't disprove a gut response. And often, with those gut responses, we seek to confirm them. This is what's known as confirmation bias. Simply, people are more susceptible to evidence that confirms a pre-existing belief than to evidence that contradicts it. In this situation, if people have drunk the Kool-Aid on Eugenia and are convinced there's some ulterior motive behind her videos, it's pretty easy to fall down a rabbit hole. And the further someone falls, the harder it is to dig them out of it. As people begin paying attention to the Eugenia Cooney situation, channels like Grepsion and Belle Aubrey began to shift narratives, even attempting to rewrite history in their favor. By the time I've recorded this, Belle Aubrey's released a response video, and I know Willie Mac's planning on responding to that, so I'll leave it to him as the response is mostly on him. While I get ready to wrap things up, I have some thoughts that I want to drop somewhere. At some point, I want to believe people had genuine desires to help, and maybe still do. But given the motives they've attempted to attribute to Eugenia and the solution they presented, I've come to believe it's almost an attempt to control their life. It's hard to watch a woman quite literally kill themselves on screen. I understand that. But nothing about deplatforming her will help them seek recovery. No amount of exposed videos or finger pointing will cause them to find or be rid of the conditions that created their environment. It's easy to think a simple change or solution will save someone's life. It's even easier to do it when you think you know the answer. It's also easy to find a single thing to point at and say that's the problem. But the reality is that EDs are complex psychological and physical conditions. It is also the reality that nobody can fight Eugenia's battles for her, not even her family. The will to change has to come from within, and only from within. And thus, I want to reiterate a simple question. Where does criticism end and harassment begin? Is it at the point a woman's every actions are picked apart to prove some wild narrative that they're indoctrinating the youth? Is it at the point conspiracies are being dreamt up to implicate their parents as not only negative forces, but ultimately destructive and uncaring ones? Is it at the point a woman's livelihood is being threatened for the sin of having a disease? Is it at the point a sick individual cannot even fight their disease in peace? Or is it at the point a woman's probable last years of life will be, in large part, spent hounded for her detractors' vanity and righteousness? It's definitely something to think about, wouldn't you say?